This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, we're doing a restaurant review, and that is Tamba Italian. I keep saying that. It's Tamba Indian cuisine at Town Square. Yes, I know. This is very, very weird for those of you that have never seen me try Indian cuisine before, but I did it. So it's funny because I actually ended up doing this. I went to this restaurant and my dad, my brothers, like they just couldn't get it like wrapped around their head that I tried Indian cuisine, but I did, and it was actually very good. And I actually want to explain why I think this place is great for somebody who might not like Indian cuisine. I think this is a great gateway restaurant, gateway drug into getting into Indian cuisine. So I'll talk about that, kind of the ambiance on the inside, and a couple of the reasons that kind of chose to go to this place. Also kind of talk about what's going on during the week. It is WrestleMania this weekend. We also have the NAB show, which is the National Association of Broadcasters, which will be next week. But for right now, we're going to be talking about what's going on in town, which is WrestleMania, the president visited, all that good stuff coming up next. Okay, so just a little bit of like quick news. The president didn't come to Las Vegas on Thursday. I was not affected by traffic issues, so it's always funny. He comes at like 2 o'clock, usually like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is like sometimes great, especially if you're like a morning person. But if you are somebody who's going around town on that time, like we had a lot of late arrivals for the hotel that day, just because when you come to Vegas, when you're in Vegas, when the president is here, they very rarely go to locations on the Strip, unless he's going to the Trump Tower, the Trump Hotel. But they're usually like in like random areas. Like I've never understood how they pick certain areas of town. Like this one was like somewhere downtown is where he visited this time. But it's, very rare that they stay on the Strip. Also, before Donald Trump was coming to Las Vegas, most presidents didn't stay overnight in Las Vegas. It was very, very rare. Most of the time, presidents in the past will come earlier in the day. So they usually come here like on their way to California or Arizona. So they'll usually stop here in the morning. They'll do whatever campaign thing they had to do in the morning, and then they would fly out. They would never really spend the night. So it was very, very rare. But I think the last couple times that Donald Trump has come to Las Vegas is he will stay overnight. So, and then he leaves in the morning time. So maybe in the morning I'll have to be careful when I go to work. So we'll see. Hopefully he's a heavy sleeper, hopefully. But with that being said, he is in town, so who knows? He will not be staying for WrestleMania, for those of you WrestleMania fans out there. Although maybe he will. I don't know. Maybe just call Dana White and then see how that works out with TKO, which, again, all owned by the same company, an ad agency, or, a talent agency, WME, I think. Is it Endeavor? I forgot. I ruined it. I usually know those things, and I totally forgot. It's whoever Ari Emanuel owns. Is that CAA? Geez. I hate that I forgot it. So anyways, let's just keep rolling on just because I can't figure that Hollywood part out. But WrestleMania is in town. They do have a huge, convention entertainment space that people are going to. I'm sorry I don't know more about it. It's my fault. I'm not really into it. Apologies. But they are around town. I know that the Goodyear Blimp team is at Circa because they're making sure everybody knows about that. So if you always wanted to meet the guys who drive the Goodyear Blimp, then head over to Circa and you'll find all the pilots for that. Let's see. WWE World 2026 happening from the 16th to the 20th, and let's click on it. So this is the thing, when you are a concierge, you tend to just click on random links. So it is, this is the same thing as last year. They are having it at the Las Vegas Convention Center in the South Hall. So just head over there. I think you do need a pass to actually go in to get autographs and that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be going over there. So, but they have like activations at different hotels. They have like the belt and all that other good stuff. There are a couple wrestlers staying at our hotel. We can't say who they are, obviously, but they're around. They stay at many different hotels. There's sometimes like a home hotel, but they can stay kind of wherever they want. So, with that being said, we can roll into our topic for today, which is our review of Tamba Contemporary Indian Cuisine, Contemporary Indian Fine Dining, which is actually the list on there. And you might be saying, like, why am I reviewing a place that is not on or in, how do you say it, on the Las Vegas Strip? But it technically is, because it is on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's just more south. This is in Town Square, which Town Square is a very popular like meetup point for anybody who's going to the movies, if they're going to do like shopping outside. It's really kind of coming back as more like a place to go. It's always very busy. Probably one of like the better like near the Strip outdoor malls. It's not as, I think it's better than the North Premium Outlets in terms of like just walking around, because they have a lot of restaurants, which is nice. They have lots of restaurants. They have a movie theater. It's more of like a local kind of thing to do. They even have a comedy club, which is actually really cool that they opened that up in the old, one of the old bar spaces. They have cool, they have really nice bars there as well, nice restaurants. North Outlet Mall is more like you're going there to go shopping and maybe go to the Cheesecake Factory, and like that's kind of all you get. And it's very hot. I have to say, it is extremely hot at the North Premium Outlets, especially in the summertime. So I ended up going to Tamba for, it was a date. So I wanted to try something that was unique and different, and we kind of talked about it, and we ended up going to Tamba. And Tamba itself is not just a random Indian restaurant. This restaurant actually, I think a week before I actually went to Tamba, had been nominated as a finalist for the James Beard Foundation Best New Restaurants in Nevada or the Southwest, one of the two. And most of the time when we say like, Nevada, we just mean Las Vegas, unless you go to Reno and you get a great place, or like Henderson. But for the most part, whenever we talk about like best of lists, it's like, oh, Las Vegas. That's why we're talking about it. But best new restaurant, Nevada. So I decided to go there because I've heard rave reviews, especially since going back into concierging. I have heard people talk glowingly about Tamba, like this is one of their favorite restaurants. A lot of local podcasts talk about how great Tamba is, and I will be the first person to be like to just turn my nose up and say, nah, like they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. But if enough people say it's really good, you got to try it. And then, honestly, great experience at Tamba. It doesn't feel like it should be in Fremont Street, in Town Square. Which, whenever we say that, it's not that we're saying that area is bad. We're actually just trying to like make a statement that this restaurant is good enough to be on the Strip and charge higher prices if it wanted to, which that would suck, but it is what it is. But we're actually making it as a compliment. Like this restaurant is good enough to be inside of a high-end casino and be a great offering. And I think Tamba is great for that. And when you're on the outside, it's just sort of like the outside of, like an outdoor mall, or an outdoor, like high-end mall, essentially. But then you walk in and it has this like beautiful lighting on the inside. Lighting's a very big deal for me when it comes to restaurants, I've found, as I've been doing more of these. But it has like these wonderful tones of like, shades of brown, lighter tans, orange, but it's not like overly like Indian, and I don't mean that like in a mean or bad way. It actually is just very like muted, but very like fine dining is essentially what I'm trying to say here, which is very nice. No, you don't sit on like the floor, which it was so annoying. Like my brothers and my dad, like when I told them I went to go do this, they were like, "Ooh, like do you do this?" It's like, no, like that's not what this place is. Yes, there are places that can do that, but this place, quite fine dining. Everybody was absolutely at the top of their game when they were actually at every point that I went. The hostesses, the bar staff, the waiters, the waitresses, the maitre d', they were all fantastic. So in terms of just service, everybody was really at the top of their game. And the restaurant itself is actually split in two sections. So you have sort of like the bar and lounge area, which does have seating where you can dine, as well as a bar top, which they do reserve bar tops, but it is what it is. Then you also have the main dining room, which is like to your right when you walk in. And it is sort of like has these like bookshelves, like kind of in the middle, sort of separating the two. Very nice lighting. It does feel like you are like, in a restaurant. It doesn't feel, again, like you're in a casino because you're not in one, but that's sometimes how it feels in restaurants sometimes on the strip. They do have an extensive menu so lots of things to choose from. I really didn't know what to get. I looked at the menu at least every day for a week to figure out what I would be getting. So I had to do a little bit of research beforehand. I did end up going with the butter chicken, which I know is super basic, but as somebody who's never eaten at a restaurant like this, you kind of got to go with the hits and then see where you go from there, especially if it's sort of, new. And I thought it was fantastic. I thought the flavors were actually really, really fragrant, obviously. They tasted fantastic. There's lots of stuff to choose from. I picked the butter chicken, but I also kind of wanted to do the lamb chops were said to be really good. I did also try something that I didn't not that I didn't like, that I usually don't like, and that is oysters. So I tried these masala butter oysters with kimchi butter, and like kind of off the top, I don't like kimchi either. But this is the thing. And this is why I like to go with other people to try places, because it does push you out of your comfort zone. So if you're somebody who is a little picky, I do recommend like you just kind of open up a bit. Obviously, you can look at the menu and do a little bit of your own research. This helps. But if you trust somebody, or if you just wanted to try it, because you never know if you're going to like it or not. Usually at most restaurants, you can find something that you like, unless you go to Bobby Flay's restaurant at Caesar's Palace, where I went there for a cocktail, and I could not find anything on the menu that I would actually eat, because not my vibes. But it's weird, because I like Bobby Flay's food. I also like Italian food, but it's just like, I'm not a fan of any of his pastas. I don't know. That's another story. We're talking about a different restaurant. But Tamba in general, you can find things on the menu that you'll be able to eat. You just have to kind of get over your fear of trying new things, because again, you're not going to die if you eat it. Obviously, if you're allergic to things, that's a different story. But a couple of things I want to sort of talk off the top is that I ended up going to the bar to have, a cocktail before I met my other person that was there. And really liked the cocktail menu. It was very interesting. Lots of gin-based cocktails. Not everything is like what I wanted that evening, so I ended up going with just a regular old-fashioned. They do have a very nice spirits menu, so a good selection for sure. And the bartenders, absolutely knowledgeable on all of the menu. I also really liked the old-fashioned that I had, and I love the glassware. The glassware were like extra tall cocktail glasses, and I actually really appreciated that. Really like large pieces of ice. Really, really great. And I had one cocktail that was not what I was expecting. It was sort of like it looked brown. It was in a Collins glass, and it was brown. And then it also had, I believe, mint and cucumber on it, and I was like, oh, this is weird. I've never seen like that color before, but I tried it, and it was actually very refreshing. It was not something that I was expecting it to be, and it was very, very good. So highly recommend trying some of the cocktails here. They're very, very pretty, really, really delicious, but lots of gin-based cocktails if you're going to be going to this restaurant. So they do have a vegetarian menu, which is, quite common for anything when it comes to like Indian cuisine, because there is a very large sect of the population that is vegetarian. But don't worry, for you meat eaters out there, they have plenty of meat. They even have steak on the menu as well if you wanted. I wouldn't recommend you get steak here, because this is not a steakhouse, but I would recommend do something that is like the butter chicken, something masala. Also, any of the oysters. They were actually very good, and I was very nervous to try them. I was like, just slurp it down. Don't worry about it. But they were actually like much firmer than I thought they were going to be. They didn't just sort of like slide. They didn't really just slide off. I actually just like picked them out, which was because they were like baked, and I really liked them. So They also have like a Caesar salad, which I'm not going to get a Caesar there. But a couple of differences between this restaurant and other like Indian restaurants. This one is contemporary Indian cuisine. So the contemporary part is doing a lot of work because this is a lot. They have a lot of like Southeastern Asian techniques and types of cuisine in this restaurant. So it's not going to be like straight Indian cuisine. They do have like a curry specific, but they also do like wok stuff. Like they do like noodle stir fry. They do chicken oysters. That's interesting. They do lobster fried rice, which a lot of people say was very, very good. Black pepper beef sounded so good, but I wasn't there to have that. Everything is like is pretty much is served family style, which is how we ate it. By the way, if you're wondering what it looks like, definitely go over to our social page, Concierge Confidential _LV on Instagram, or Brian _Ortega26 on the gram. And you can also find us on TikTok, where it's at Keys to Vegas, where you can see the latest video from Tamba. So make sure you check that out. Give it a like. Share it if you really, really would like to. Share it to your friends if you want. But I really enjoyed it. So anyways, Tamba itself, very nice. We ended up sitting in like a two top, and it was very busy. One thing about this restaurant is make a reservation. Like when you make the reservation, let's just say a week in advance, it's going to show you like a bunch of available times. And I was like, when I made it, I was looking, booking, and then I was like, man, people really like this restaurant, and why are there so many available times on a Friday? And then I got there, and this place was bumping. Like there were lots of people, very different than like a strip hotel, which can be busy, but you kind of know when you make the reservation because there's not a lot of reservations like available if it's going to be busy. This restaurant, crazy when I got there, nuts, but really good lighting. Very nice music. Like it's not super like over the top, and very good for like conversations. The food comes out very fast. So if you do end up going to Tamba, just note that the food comes out very quickly, especially if it's like a curry or something that is like they're going to have lots of batches of it. Maybe like lamb chops would take a little bit longer, or like a steak, for example. But our food came out very quickly. Like we ordered it, and the first item came out, I want to say like less than 10 minutes. And then the main entrees came out probably 10 minutes after that. So it's quick. Like it's pretty fast in there. They do ask you they do take the entire order at the top, so just understand that that's going to happen. The desserts themselves are interesting, but we'll get to the desserts in a second. So let's go back to like just sort of like ordering the cuisine. They will go over the menu with you. It's good to have like kind of a roadmap, like, hey, like I like this, I like that, I want to do chicken, that kind of thing. This being that it was kind of a date, I tried to be respectful to like go through like the entire menu. I didn't like list things I didn't like, because who wants to do that? But I will do that sometimes. But they did go over a lot of the things on the menu. Also got like kind of the lowdown from the bartenders at the beginning. So we ended up getting those oysters I talked about. And then they're called the masala butter oysters. And it's live fire-grilled oysters with kimchi butter, citrus segments, and smoked sea salt. You can taste every single flavor that they are talking about, except the oyster, which is actually a good thing for me. I am not a fan of the taste of oysters or the texture, but I did enjoy all the flavors in this, and it was actually very delicious. So after that, we ended up getting some naan bread. They do actually have a really good selection of naan. For those of you not familiar, naan bread, and I'm not going to say it's like pita bread, but somewhat the same. Pita bread isn't as fluffy. Naan bread is really delicious, and they actually have a couple different types. So they have plain naan bread. They have tandoori, which is going to be like whole wheat flatbread. So kind of similar. Crispy edges. They also have garlic cilantro, which that's actually what we ended up getting, and it was really, really delicious. They have goat cheese. They also have black truffle, which is actually very interesting. Layered with truffle butter and finished with sea salt crystals. Interesting. They have also an exotic bread basket if you wanted to, where you can get kind of like all of that. But not too bad. Like if you just got like the regular garlic cilantro naan bread, it's only $6. So pretty doable. You can order more if you want to. Same thing with the rice. Most of the dishes, I believe, came with rice, but we ended up getting just like whatever the regular rice was, which is just like a side of rice. Very delicious, though. No soy sauce here. I was like, how am I going to eat this rice with no soy sauce? Well, I am an adult, and I figured it out. So, as we continue, I ended up getting the Jindori butter chicken, which is chicken thigh. This is how it's read. Jindori chicken thigh tikka in creamy cashew and tomato butter sauce. I didn't really know how I was going to react to the thing being called butter sauce, because I was like, I don't know if I want to taste like tomato. You don't taste any of it. It's just all the awesome spices, and it's not very hot, which is good for me, because I don't want to do super spicy, because that's when I can't handle it. But it's good to be pushed to the limit. But it is not spicy whatsoever. But you can taste all of the delicious spices and flavors in the chicken. It's very, very well done. And I took the sauce and actually just put it on the rice, and it was delicious. So really great. You can also put, make a sandwich with with the na. So you take the na and then you take the chicken. You can also put the rice in there too, and then you eat it all together. So that's cool. It was tasty. I actually really liked it. I would probably go back and get that if I really wanted to. It's a decent amount. I would say for 2 people, it's decent. The butter chicken did have enough for 2 people. But anything more than that, it might not be enough. So that's one of the things I would say for this restaurant, is that a lot of the portions are smaller. So I would say for 2 people to share one dish, it's very doable, but you're going to order multiple dishes, obviously. So, and you do get full. You do get quite full, which I wasn't expecting. So I was actually really happy to kind of see that. Then we also got the fish mole masala, which is made with a sea bass. So it's sea bass with turmeric, mustard, curry leaves, and then coconut tamarind sauce, which is very interesting because they looked very similar, in terms of what the sauces looked like, but they did taste a little bit different. Also, the sea bass was cooked perfectly. It was actually very, very moist, but really kept its shape. So that was really good. I felt like they didn't have as much fish as there was chicken. It could have just been that's how they're sized, obviously, but I actually really, really liked I love sea bass, so I was really happy to see that sea bass was on this menu, and I really liked it. So they do also have lobster green curry. They have chicken torwala. It was funny because the person I went with was I really wanted sog, which only the thing I know about sog is that it was in Along Came Polly, and she was asking Ben Stiller's character, do you want more this or Magogi? Maybe it was Magogi, and that's where I remembered it, and I was like, oh god, worst nightmare. But they did not have it, so I didn't have to eat it, which is kind of funny. I don't know, probably would have did it. Who knows? Girls make you do crazy things, but it's in a good way. So I think that was actually really good. But yeah, the food was actually quite good. I think that was all we had. That is actually all we had. I thought about getting the lamb chop and then splitting it, but I think it actually would have been too much food. You do get pretty full here, I have to say. You can order more food if you want. Obviously, you can do more rice. I think she also got pickles. There was a side of pickles, which was I didn't try the pickles, not my thing. But they do also have nice little desserts. I didn't try the desserts. It wasn't nothing was popping out at me in terms of dessert wise. So I can't tell you about the desserts. I apologize. Failed. But overall, I actually had a really good time at this restaurant. I would probably go back. Yeah, I think I'd go back and try some different things. I think it's definitely worth the traveling off of the strip. I would say, and I can't say a lot, but there are chefs. Many chefs have gone to Tamba. One of them being Bobby Flay. The reason I know that is because I was at Bobby Flay's restaurant. And I ended up, was having a cocktail there. I was talking to the bartenders, again, be friends with bartenders. And they told me that he had gone to Tamba and said he loved it. He was fantastic. So it's always interesting. And I think it's a big deal when there's another chef that also went to Tamba, but can't tell you guys who it is. is a female chef, but they only go to off the strip restaurants like if they're really good. Because they're very busy. Like a lot of chefs that are like, work on the strip, they'll go to like the maybe competition like in their own hotel. Maybe they'll go check out, other places that are on the strip to see, kind of what they're doing in terms of pricing. But overall, they don't go off the strip very often. And when they do, it's for something very good. Like Lotus of Siam, which is a really popular place to go for celebrity chefs who are trying to see like what's in like town and kind of like making noise. Another place is Sparrow and Wolf. By the way, I'll just list all of these. So there are a couple restaurants that you should know about for that were nominated for James Beard Finalist. One of them being Tamba for Best New Restaurant. Outstanding chefs were Sparrow and Wolf. The gentleman's name is Brian. I believe also Partage was recognized as well. And then the one at the Wynn that can't say off the top of my head. It's actually inside of Encore. I am blanking on Encore Mexican restaurant. Casa Playa is the other restaurant that was recognized. There might be one more, but I'm just like sort of this kind of can't think about it right now. But those are the major ones. But overall, Tamba, really fantastic. It's a really good place to go if you want to get off the strip and you really wanted to try Indian cuisine and you couldn't get into Gymkhana, which is at the Aria. This is definitely like the next one on your list. Gymkhana, haven't tried it yet, but I've heard like mixed things because for those of you not aware, it's one of the, I think the only, I don't know if it's the only, but it's an Indian restaurant that has 3 Michelin stars, or at least a Michelin star, in London, and they just opened here in Las Vegas. Where else did I go? I was also at Teasers for CinemaCon, where I saw all like the movie posters and stuff, which is why you hear me that I was at Bobby Flay's restaurant. And then I also went to Peter Luger's, which honestly, like the best deal at Peter Luger's is their lunch deal for their burger. It's $34, just so everybody knows. It's $34. It's like $36 if you end up getting like the cheese on your burger. So a cheeseburger and fries. So honestly, out the door, you're probably looking at like $50 just to be safe. I did not have a cheeseburger. I just had a drink while I was there, but because I was walking around, I was like, didn't want to go hang out the regular spot. But I think a single steak is $89. And then if you end up getting the steak for 2, which does, I believe, come with sides as well, I think it's like $170 if you end up getting like their signature like sizzling plate deal. So out the door, you're probably looking like a little over $200. So keep that in mind. Although I do think you get sides though. Like when you end up getting like the steak for 2, I think you do get 2 sides that come with it. And I think a salad as well. Yeah, I think so. So it's actually not a terrible idea. It's actually a pretty good, kind of thing to do. And if you really like whiskey, cocktails, I thought that Peter Luger's cocktail menu was actually very impressive in terms of whiskey-based cocktails, which you don't see very often. But this isn't a review for them. I already did one for those. Check it out on our Instagram. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you guys enjoy the weekend. Really appreciate you guys. If you come to town and want to say hello, you know where I am. But again, if you do see me out in town, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.